Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. I'm so happy you're able to join me on this beautiful Sunday night. At least it's beautiful here in New England. So let me get settled in. So this month we are going to be using the Simply Said stamp set because we'll need a greeting for this stamp set that I'm going to feature this month. And the other stamp set we're going to be using is the Pets in War stamp set. It is such an adorable set, and I think it's perfect for cards that you might want to make for especially children or pet lovers. And it's a reversible stamp set, which I'll be showing you how to use that later in the month. Tonight I'm just going to be stamping as is, and then we'll use this for the greetings. So welcome to the new month of July. So I have 3 cards that we're going to make tonight, and these cards, what I'm going to focus on, because I always try to have some kind of theme for the week as I'm doing my presentation. And this week I want to focus on using up your paper scraps, because we all have them. I have, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people who keeps pretty much everything. So I don't throw much away. So we will be using some paper scraps for this card. So this is the first card we're going to be making, and notice how I'm using my paper scraps right here. This technique is called omitting. So if you imagine this as that we could fit 12 1x1 squares on it, and then we're just taking away some of those squares to leave room for the greeting and the main stamped image. So let's get started on this one. So what you need for materials, you're going to need a small piece of Smokey Slate Cardstock. This one actually measures 1.5 by 2.5. And then I also have a little tiny scrap. This, I didn't even measure it. It's just to stamp the tennis ball on. And then you're going to need a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock. Again, this is a template. I have seen these cards being made everywhere, and so many different samples. So think of this as a template, and you could use any stamp set with this or any color combination based on what your designer series paper is. So I have my 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Misty Moonlight, and then I have a piece of 4 inches by 5.25 basic beige that I am going to use as my inside piece, so that I have something that I can write on and do all of that. So let's add that in. There we go. And then for the front of the card, I'm going to save this piece over to the side. This small basic beige measures 3.25 by 4.5. And the pink measures 3.75 by 5. I'm going to add the pink right to the front of my Misty Moonlight. And I am taking scraps from the Country Woods Designer Series paper. So where did I put those? So what I've done, let's put those out of the way, is that I have all of these little 1x1 inch paper scraps. I have 6 of them. So you're going to need 6 for this particular layout. And what I'm going to do is kind of build going down, across, and down, but on this smaller piece of paper. All right. So let's just start. It doesn't matter which one we start with. I'm going to be using some liquid glue for these. These are tiny, tiny little squares. They're not going to need a lot of adhesive, but I'm just going to line them up. I made sure when I cut these that I had some Petal pink and that I had some Misty Moonlight in the designs. So that was something that I did that was I did that purposefully. Whoops. Just move it right back where it needs to go. So we'll just get these all glued on. If you were with me for my Friday night live, I talked about how I'm going to start doing more classes, that I'm starting my classes up again, my in-person classes and my virtual online classes. And the first class that I'm going to have is going to be a Christmas in July class. And I'm pretty excited about that. And I will be sharing more detail about that on my Facebook page. So this one got a little crooked, and that caused me to go a little further over, so I don't have as much of a little boundary there. So I'm just going to fix it so it will look, so that it will look similar. That way we won't have a little border on either side. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to put this away. My greeting is going to be my hello, and I have that right here. And I'm going to be using the Smokey Slate ink. So I'm just going to stamp the hello right here in this space. And then I am going to take that little doggy and I'm going to ink him up and stamp him on the Smokey Slate paper as well. There we go. So cute. And then I am going to take the little tennis ball and stamp that on the other piece. This kind of reminds me of my dog Coco. I mean, the dog image doesn't, but the dog with the tennis ball image does. My dog growing up was named Coco, and she loved tennis balls. She was part lab, and she could hold, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 tennis balls in her mouth. So the next thing I would do is cut these out, fussy cut them out, and I've already done that, so that part is done right here. So I will tend to probably put a tennis ball with all of my my images of the dog with this set, just because that's what it reminds me of with our dear dog Coco. So I'm going to add just some dimensionals to the back of the dog that I cut out. Because I'm using a darker cardstock, I just grabbed my black dimensionals. He's going to go a little bit over to the left, and then I'm going to have to use a smaller dimensional on the back of the tennis ball. And we'll put that right there, and then just add some adhesive and put this on the front of the card, and we are all set with our first card. So there you go with our first card of the evening. Just a simple omitting technique that uses just some scraps up of your designer series paper. Okay, let's put those aside. For the next card, we are going to be making a birthday card, and I'll be using the cat image and just some scraps of designer series paper. I always seem to have a whole bunch of white, 1 inch wide designer series paper. So let's talk about what we need for materials on this one. So I'm using a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock. That's 5.5 by 8.5. Just folding it in half. There we go. And I have 2 pieces of 4 by 5.25 basic white pieces of cardstock. And the one that's going to go on the inside, I'm going to take, this is from the Designer Series paper that's called, right, it is called Take to the Sky. And I just cut a piece I had a little scrap here, so I cut a 1/2 inch, and it's just going to go here on the side of the basic white cardstock. So let me just add some adhesive to that, and we'll get this into the inside of the card. And this time this piece wasn't long enough to go across the bottom, and that's okay. So I just am putting it along the side. Use those scraps based on the size of them. There we go. And so this will go right inside our card. You've seen me a lot using those little paper scraps on the inside of my card, but this is going to be the base of our background for this one. So I'm going to take the happy birthday, and let me get rid of this ink here, and we're going to use the Cajun Craze ink, and in the upper corner I'm going to be stamping birthday wishes. So I'm putting it way up high. There we go. And then I'm going to use our little cat, and on a piece of paper that measures 1 3/4 by 2.5, I'm going to stamp the cat image. Just going to stamp him right on the center of that piece of paper. And I'm going to mount him or her on a 2 by 2 3/4 piece of basic black cardstock. There we go. So our little cat's all set to go. Now with this Designer Series paper, so as I said, it's the Take to the Sky. I got my color combination from this piece here because it's Cajun Craze, and I cut these. They were already 1 inch, so I cut 1 to 5, then 1 to 4.5, and then 1 to 4. And then what I'm going to do is just tear off the ends of each of these, just to make it a little bit, have a little texture. And I'm trying to make sure I do that at the seam, about the same size, so that there's still going to be difference in length. And then I'm going to take some adhesive and put on the back of these, starting at the bottom and starting with the longest one. I'm going to go right to the edge and place that down. Then I'm going to take my next one. When I was picking my designs, I tried to pick the ones that were more of a pattern than of a busy background. And I'm going to put that right on top of that. And then I'm going to take my smaller one and put right on top of that. There we go. So this now can go on to the front of our card. Like I said, it's such a super easy technique using card scraps, but boy, it really can add some interest and dimension and fun to your card. So I'm going to get those dimensionals again, and I'm going to pop this up, and our second card will be all done. Both the Simply Said and the Pets and More are online exclusive stamp sets. So you can't find them in the catalog, you'll find them online at the Stampin' Up website. And so now I'm just going to kind of center this over this, and as easy as pie, there's our next card. One to go with our paper scraps. So I don't know about you, I also get lots of, even paper scraps, not designer series paper. I get pieces of paper scraps. I have envelopes and envelopes of white scraps and of different colors. So this is the next card that we're going to be making, and it's using all the current in colors for this year. And it has our little dog again with, I couldn't resist, I told you before, that little tennis ball in front of him. So here's what we need for this. Let's just start with our piece of Pretty in Pink that measures 5.5 by 8.5. This card is going to be vertical like that. We have a piece of basic black cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. We'll be using that towards the end. We have a piece of basic white that measures 2 by 2.5, and we're going to stamp our little dog in the basic black ink. Get them all inked up. And I'm going to stamp him again right in the middle of my paper. Oops, and I somehow wobbled that. So we're just going to turn that over and do it again. And hopefully no wobbling that time. And then with our little piece here that measures 3/4 by 3 1/8, I am going to stamp our happy birthday. This is going to be another happy birthday card. There we go. And that's it for the black ink. I am going to need some other stamping done on these, but we'll wait until we get to that point. And I'm just going to put this onto our piece of black cardstock, which measures 2 1/8 by 2 5/8. And we're just going to center this on. There we go. Leave that to the side. Now for this piece that measures 5 by 3 3/4, I have, out of the new in colors, I have a 7/8 by 3 3/4 paper scrap. So I have one of each color. So we're going to start with the Summer Splash. And I just took the smaller stamps from the set. I was kind of realizing afterwards the fish probably doesn't really fit the dog, but it was one of the smaller stamps. And what I'm going to be doing is just stamping these on the background of each piece of paper. Okay, there's that one. I'm going to use the dog dish with this Shy Shamrock. This could also be a cat dish as well. Oops. got some ink on the inside. So let's just turn that over and start again. These ink pads are so new, and that puts them really very inky. There we go. Okay, there's our dish. And the pretty in pink, I'm not going to stamp on this paper, but I am going to stamp on this. And I'm going to stamp the tennis ball in pink on one side. And then I'm going to stamp the paw print. Let's see where my paw print went. Right here, hiding. And we'll do the paw print right over here. So we've got this on to the label. So let's close that. And then what I'm going to do is to take this piece, add some adhesive to it, and then I'm going to put this right over, line it right up on the piece of pretty in pink cardstock. There we go. And then next we need, I'm going to take this, the peach pie, and then let me just, and with the peach pie ink, we're going to just stamp that paw print again. I'm just making sure that not too much ink gets in between on the paw print. There we go. So that one's done. And then the last one's going to be our tennis ball. So we'll just have this tennis ball bouncing all over this piece of Petunia Pop cardstock. There we go. Now all the stamping is done. So let's put this card together. So I'm going to start with the piece that I'm going to put on the bottom. I'm going to add my adhesive. And this is going to go right up along the bottom of the card. And then my summer splash is going to go right along the top of the piece of basic white. Alright, so then my middle piece is going to be my peach pie. So I'm going to put that in, just kind of eyeballing it that it's in the middle. My happy birthday is going to go above that. And I'm just going to center it. There we go. And then my Petunia Pop is going to go in the last space. And this is going to be mounted on that piece of basic black cardstock. So remember, I'm going to put all the measurements in the comment section on my Facebook page and in the description on my YouTube channel. So you'll be able to find all the measurements there. And this will go on the front. Even just that, it looks so cute. But now we're going to take and we're going to add this with dimensionals onto the front. So as you can see, in our first edition of July's Simply Stamping Sunday, the theme has been using our paper scraps to our advantage and using them in designing some of our cards. So tonight I hope I've shown you 3 different ways. Oops, I forgot to do a stamp on this. Let's place it on because I've already done that. And we're going to add a tennis ball. I forgot that I wanted to do that. Let's hope it stamps okay. There we go. So we've got his tennis ball there. All right, and this is our 3rd card for tonight, using paper scraps in our design of our card. So we had this card, our cat card, and our other dog card, all using paper scraps. Omitting for this one, using just 1 by 1 squares of paper scraps, and then in the spaces that don't have them, you have your design. Here we are using those 1-inch pieces of Designer Series paper and cut them different lengths and then tore them on the end and stamped our image. And then this one we used our paper scraps from our cardstock to add the different elements of the card. I hope you have enjoyed this first week of Simply Stamping Sunday with Simply Said and Pets and More. I'm going to be back next Sunday with another 3 cards and another theme for how we're going to use this stamp set. And of course I'll be back Friday night for a new edition of Fun Fold Friday. Be checking early week on my Facebook page because I will be giving information about my upcoming class. That's going to be July 27th. It is a virtual class and an in-person class if you are in the Keene, New Hampshire area. All right, that's it for me for tonight. Have a great week, and I'll see you Friday night. Good night, everybody.